Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, the conversation. I am always excited because even though she's retired and now she's an author, but I am here with a fellow professional organizer, Crystal Loveless Nerpel, and we're going to talk about her book. And I just want to make sure I get it right. It is Loving Your Home, Clean Up Your Focus, Not Your House. I know you're ready to hear that conversation. So, Crystal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Janet. I appreciate you asking me back on your podcast.
Oh, I can't wait for the conversation. So, what made you decide to write the book and specifically title it the way you did?
Mhm. Well, first of all, becoming an author or writing a book was not on my radar at all. But I started meeting people in my community, just in my little town here, that were authors. And I was like, I could do that. And I had the Loving Your Home Club, which is a membership site that I have sunsetted. It no longer exists as I'm retired, but I had these guides that I would give my members every month. And I had all this material. And I started to think, this would make a lovely book. There's so much information in here. So I compiled them all together, and it did not make a book. It was like 100 pages. But the idea was there, so that inspired me to really dive into it and to write a book. It ended up taking me about 3.5 to 4 years to actually getting it done from concept. I knew that I wanted to write a book, and then the Loving Your Home Club gave me some material to do so. So that's where it started out. And then the Loving Your Home just comes from my club. Loving Your Home. And as a professional organizer, and I know, Janet, you probably have noticed this too, it's not about the stuff. Yes, the stuff is there, but the stuff sometimes is just a symptom of other things going on in life. So pull back, stop, pause, and pay attention. What are you focusing on? Why do you have so much clutter and chaos? So I really believe that loving your home is about creating a beautiful life, not necessarily creating a beautiful home. It happens, you get a beautiful home out of it, but it's just like a happy side effect.
Well, I enjoyed reading your book. And before I ask the first question, one of the things you said in chapter 5 is be imperfect instead of criticizing yourself or having normal human emotions and behaviors. Acknowledge when you are in a funk and congratulate yourself for being aware, which is why do we, I guess my question is what we need to maybe do to kind of, we're focusing on one thing but really, we shouldn't be focusing on that because I like the way you said, sometimes, hey, congratulate yourself for being in the funk.
Yes, yes. And I really think that stems from conversing with other club members, my Loving Your Home Club women. There were some really amazing women in there, and we decided to start celebrating when we failed or when we were in the funk, and even thanking each other, like, thank you so much for sharing that, because that makes me feel normal and it makes me know that I can get onto the other side. Because when you're challenged, that's when you grow. I know we hear that a lot, but it is very true. When you hit roadblocks and you figure out how to get past the roadblocks, or you figure out, you know what, I'm going to turn around and go a different way. You should celebrate that, because you're growing and you're doing something that a lot of people don't normally do. They just look at themselves as a failure. And as far as like switching up your focus in your home, like, oh my gosh, my home is a mess, I'm such a failure, which is where I was at about 2016, 2017. I was drowning, and I had a meltdown because I was only focusing on what was broken. And I say in the book, I had an epiphany. I was standing in the middle of my kitchen, and I don't know, it's just like a download. I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to drop this struggle. I think I'm done fighting with my house. I think I'm just going to find the happy and the gratitude in the mess. I'm going to find the beauty inside the mess, which sounds ridiculous and like, okay, you can say that, but how do you really do it? So I just anchor myself, and I explain how I do that in the book. But like, for instance, say junk mail was a big issue for us. So I walk into the kitchen, there's junk mail on the counter, in addition to a lot of other really weird stuff that should not be on the kitchen counter. But instead of focusing on that, maybe I can smell the dinner that's cooking in the crock pot. And I think, I'm so proud of myself. I put dinner in the crock pot first thing this morning. And so now I don't have to deal with it after a crazy day. Thank you, Crystal. And then I just feel a little bit more uplifted. It's because I'm focusing on something else in my environment. I'm pointing to my nose here because when you smell things, oddly enough, it
Mm-hmm.
helps tap into emotions and even sometimes memories, because your olfactory organs and everything that's going on with your sense of smell is very closely related to memories. It's in the same spot in your brain. So you may not tap into memories necessarily, but you're going to tap into the same feeling. Like for me, it'd be like smelling dinner when my mom was cooking it for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt taken care of. So when I smell dinner cooking that I made, I feel taken care of, even though I did it. And then I just mindlessly like go through the bills maybe, or throw the mail away and don't even realize I'm doing it. And I've just cleared up a little bit of clutter. I
Mm-hmm.
do the same when I listen to music or see something beautiful in my house, even amongst the mess.
And that is true because a lot of times we do focus on what we haven't accomplished instead of looking at what we have.
Very true.
Because I recently had a conversation with a client and she was just like, "Oh, Janet, I don't feel like this, and that, and the other." And of course, at the time of this taping, it is a little chilly here in Philadelphia. And I told her, I said, "It's freezing outside.
Mm-hmm.
You've done a lot. And it's okay if right now you just feel like you want to cuddle and snuggle on the sofa." So, and I'm the same way, Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I get so much joy when I smell food, even though I'm just cooking it for myself. It's like, yay, I did it. And just to have the house smell like that.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
another thing you said is one of the most impactful ways to love your home. It is declutter. You don't have to spend money or a lot of time to reap the rewards. What is like maybe one thing that somebody's listening who just feels like, oh my goodness, I hear what Crystal's saying, but right now I got the pile here, the pile there, the pile everywhere. What can I do? How can I get started?
Okay, this is going to be a little unconventional. It may not be what you're expecting, but the biggest thing I decluttered, the most profound thing I decluttered from my life, I didn't have to do anything, didn't have to go buy organizing bins or even pick up an item, is I stopped doing things for other people. So I think I'm going to get a t-shirt that says not my job, because that is like one of my slogans, and to remind myself as well as the other people around me. But it's not my job to worry about every single thing that's going on in my house, in my neighborhood, in the world for that matter. We get so drawn up into the mess, the clutter, the drama, and it's so overwhelming. So I just let a few balls drop and let a few things break. And you know what? The world didn't crash. The world didn't end. The house didn't burn to the ground. So, for instance, every Tuesday, I get to practice this by not taking the trash bins out to the curb. And I talk about this in my book, and it makes me giggle just because I get to watch my son and my husband step up to the plate and struggle.
Mhm.
It's okay to let other people struggle and help you out, because when you do things for everything for everybody, you're actually taking things away from them. The ability to struggle is a good lesson to learn. It's a good life skill to figure out different challenges. So I don't want to take that away from my children. So I don't clean up a whole lot after them. But the trash also sometimes does not get taken out to the curb, and I just let it go. My son will be irritated with my husband because my husband didn't remind him to do it. My husband will be irritated with my son because my son didn't remember to do it. There'll be a little bickering, nothing
Mhm.
major. And I just let them bicker. I let them bicker. And we are one of the only houses sometimes that still has that big trash bin sitting out on the curb for days on end because nobody's brought it in. And it feels really good to not be the one that's in charge of that. So decluttering first for me was I worked on the house a whole lot, but I
Mhm.
also stopped working on other people's things, other people's laundry, other people's bedrooms, those sort of things. Just let them struggle a little bit. It's okay to let them struggle and not come to the rescue.
And I like that, Crystal, because you're really letting go, or some people will be letting go of the perfectionism because they keep
Mm,
jumping in and they keep doing it
yes.
because it's like a certain way it needs to be done. But you're like, you know what? As long as it gets done, I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
So that is a
Or,
huge decluttering
yeah.
out of
Now,
your schedule.
well, real quickly, if it doesn't get done, it's okay too. So just be okay with that also.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's hard. That's hard.
And yeah, I can imagine it can be hard, but you just allowed yourself to release so much, just the trash cans and whatever else you've decided to, you know what, I'm
Mhm.
just not going, it's not my job.
That's
And I
right. Not
think
my
that
job.
would just, yeah, and I think that would just open up so many people's time, the energy, the weight off of their shoulders.
Mhm.
I hope everybody watching and listening really took note of that because that's a huge one. That's a huge one. Well, Crystal, since you are organized, a former organizer, like how do you organize? Because you're an author, you're a wife, you're a mother. I know you're probably involved in the community and you've got other things going on. So how do you organize your time or maybe you just, your space?
I'm very flexible, even though I am a professional or ex-professional organizer.
Express,
I'm
yes.
always a professional organizer. I think I'm going to just it's ingrained in you, right? But
Yes,
I
it is.
am, yes, very fluid and organized. So with my day, I just kind of let it unfold the way it needs to unfold. But I also keep in mind, what is my ideal day? How do I really want to spend my day? What do I want to feel as I move throughout the day? And this doesn't change daily. I've got in the book also, I talk about crafting your ideal day, and it's an exercise that I did probably 7 years ago. And my ideal day hasn't changed much. So it's how I want to feel when I wake up, as I move through the day, as I go to bed, but also who am I hanging out with, where I am, the things I see, feel, taste, touch, all of it, what anchors me to my happy. And then when I wake up in the morning, I do a brain dump. And I do this probably Monday through Wednesday. By Thursday and Friday, I'm over the brain dump and I start
Mm-hmm.
again on Monday. But
Mm-hmm.
everything I'm telling myself I have to do. And then I look at it and I cross off all the things that are just fillers and busy work that I don't need to do, like other people's laundry, the things that I'm trying to release. So I do that. And then I also have 4 categories I try to keep up with. I want to be productivity, creativity, some sort of movement, wellness, and then pleasure and rest. And everything I brain dump, I would say 90% of it is always productivity. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. So then that shows me like you're going to waste your day away being quote unquote productive. And then at the end of the day, you are not going to feel good. So mark the things off that are not in line with how I want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then I have to make myself think about what would be pleasurable, like having a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with an interesting person like this. This will check
Mm-hmm.
my pleasure box for today for sure. I had coffee with a friend this morning. That checks the pleasure box, but I have to
Mm-hmm.
schedule those things or they don't
Mm-hmm.
happen. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I do, and it
Mm.
changes every day, but same basic routine.
I like that, especially the creativity, the pleasure. I like that.
Thank
That's
you.
a wonderful way really to look at your day and really to have more balance. I love that. I
The
may be
balance.
implementing that, Crystal.
Ooh, good, good, Janet. I love that.
So, how can those watching and listening connect with you, get a copy of your book?
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me on here. You're just so lovely. I love talking to you. And thanks for the opportunity to come back on for sure. So if you're on watching YouTube, here's my book. I'm super proud of it. And I'm excited to get it out into the world because I do think it will help people drop the struggle and hopefully start living their ideal day. But you can get it on Amazon. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, it is available to you for free, which is exciting, or you can get a print copy. Or you can visit my website, crystalnerpel.com.
And of course, those watching as well as listening, I will have links to Crystal's website as well as her social media platforms and also a special link so you can get directly to her book. Well, Crystal, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, connect with you. Congratulations again on your book.
Thank you, Janet. I appreciate it.